Hey guys, Dan at CardTech 710 here. As many of you have seen, recently I've been collecting the stars of the 68 top set in a PSA grade of 8 or higher. One of my favorite sets, vintage sets. And in light of the recent unscrupulous practices of consigners like PWCC selling trimmed or altered cards, or selling cards that have been regraded for higher grades than what they initially should be after being altered, I wanted to share my experience with a card scam, one that could have cost me so much that I may have very well have quit the hobby. It happened pretty early on after I started collecting again. The whole reason I got back into the hobby and specifically went with PSA graded cards was I thought it was a safe, non-subjective way to pay a standard price for a PSA X graded card. In the early 90s, before grading, dealers would sell cards at Beckett price, or even higher than Beckett price, sometimes double Beckett if the card was hot, regardless of the quality. I mean, you could have been getting a excellent mint card, but yet here they're charging full Beckett price of mint, or if not higher, if the card was hot. And on my first video, I talked about my getting a swapped card, which was one of my first big ticket auction wins. And it was the Nolan Ryan rookie in a PSA grade of 8. And I won it for $3,300, which is quite a bit of money, especially when you start collecting again. And it was a rookie card. It was a card I always wanted when I was younger. I couldn't afford it. Here I wanted to go big, and I wanted to get a really nice copy of a Nolan Ryan rookie. And I won it for, like I said, $3,300. And I was really stoked to get it too. And after a few months, I wanted to get it reholdered because at the time the stripe at the top was curdled, which happens a lot in the PSA holders like this. And I wanted to get it reholdered with a new Lighthouse holder, so I sent it back to PSA along with a couple of other cards. And shortly after, I got a phone call. Looked at my phone, said Newport Beach. I'm like, gee, what's this? And it was PSA. Someone saying that they were from the PSA loss prevention department. And the first question they asked me is, did you send a 1968 Nolan Ryan rookie in a PSA grade of 8? And they read off the PSA holder number. I said, yes, I did. I want to get it reholdered. He said, sorry to inform you, but your card case had been compromised. And I was like, okay, compromised, what is that? And they said that someone had actually split the case down the middle, taken the card out, and actually replaced it with another card. And if they graded that card that was in there now, if they were to grade it again, it would only come out probably a PSA 5. And that was a shocker because the price difference between a PSA 5 and an 8 is substantial. It just made my stomach drop, tie up in knots. Oh man, I had been ripped off, right? They gave me the option of either getting it reslabbed with a PSA grade of 5, or they would give me all the paperwork I needed to take the matter up with eBay's resolution center with the seller. And so I definitely wanted to do that and not just take the loss. So it had been several months too. I actually got the Nolan Ryan rookie, had it for a couple months, decided no, I really wanted to get it reholdered. And so it had been like 3 or 4 months by the time all this revelation came about that, I had bought a ripped off card. So I immediately contacted the seller through eBay's resolution center, and the loss prevention department did give me scans and a letter like they said, which I really appreciate, because here's a copy of the scan, and you can see it's what looks to be a good looking card. I mean, it was really nicely centered front to back. Like I said, I'm not really good at grading cards myself, but I mean, you can definitely see like the white patch here. But the case, what they were pointing out, if you could see here, it actually goes dark and then light. And this is the area that was actually cracked open and resealed, okay? And the former card was able to be slipped out, and this card here, the PSA 5, or possibly a 5, was slipped in its place. And along with a letter that basically came from PSA saying, this letter being sent in reference to 68 Topps Mets rookies Jay Kuzman and Nolan Ryan card, certificate number, that was purported to be graded by our firm. The PSA case, which is sonically sealed with a tamper-evident feature at our facility, has been broken along the edges of the case, making it possible to switch out the card inside. As a result, PSA has no way to verify that this is the same card originally graded. Therefore, the certification number and grade noted on the label are no longer valid. The loss prevention agent that I talked to also informed me that this practice actually happens quite often, which was, once again, news to me. And I'd only been back in the hobby for a few months, I think like 4 or 5 months when all this came about. So I did reach out to the seller and through the Resolution Center, and the eBay Resolution Center first suggested I contact the seller directly, which I did through their Resolution Center. And the seller was actually really great. He didn't dispute the claim at all. That's why I'm wondering if he actually was not the one that did this, because he was so forthcoming. He goes, just when you get the card and the information back from PSA, please forward it to me and we'll see what we can do. And PSA actually rushed the card out to me in 2 days, along with the paperwork and everything. They gave me an email copy, PDF, as well as this was included in the box. Came in a really big box, along with the now raw card, along with the little strip that says this was invalid grade. And I rushed those to the actual seller, and luckily that's all I really needed to do, and the seller was kind enough to return my money. This is like 4 months after I had originally purchased it. So once I was lucky because I couldn't turn around and just buy another PSA 8 as the only withdrawal back. Is enough time had passed in those 4 months that at the time the Nolan Ryans in an 8 were going for around $4,000. They kind of come back to earth since then, but I still can't afford to get one, especially now that I have to pay sales tax. But eventually I will plan on getting my Nolan Ryan in an 8. PSA also did want to mention that their newer Lighthouse label slabs, the ones with the case like this, with the little PSA logo here, are more supposed to be more tamper evident along the edges, because something about how they have like an extra seam that if cracked you just can't seal back together. I don't know, something like that. But it wouldn't surprise me if crooks have figured out that security feature out as well. You just never know. Some positive takeaways about this. The eBay Resolution Center, I'm a big fan. When you have a dispute, let me show you. If you go on your purchase history, you have the option of clicking on return this item. And you'll have stuff in there that's, like I said, in my case was in there even after several months. Oh, I gotta sign it again. Gosh darn it. But it also questions why you're returning this item, one of which on the radio button says doesn't seem authentic, and that's what I did. They also informed me though that in the event that you can't work it out with the seller directly, they do have like the next level of arbitration. That's covered by eBay's buyer's protection, kind of like the equivalent of eBay's version of small claims. And, I think that's really great because the eBay buyer protection, with all the bullshit that's going on now with things like consigners like PWCC, you could even take it up with them if you purchase their card on eBay, but it was actually from an actual consignor. So, for everything that I went through, You know, the only thing that really came out of it is I ended up not having my Nolan Ryan in 8. I have it in 7. I also started a spreadsheet listing all the purchases that I make, along with who the seller is. And, you know, do your diligence. Look your slabs over carefully when you get them, especially if they're some of the older non-lighthouse slabs, or anytime you actually have a slab, especially with any kind of vintage card, I would definitely look them over carefully. I've gone over through my cards now to find all the cards I purchased through PWCC, and I'm giving them a good once over, if not twice over, to make sure that those cases have been compromised. And when you buy an auction from an eBay seller, do your diligence on the seller. Make sure he doesn't have any negative reviews of any history of selling anything that's bogus or compromised. And I also like to see if the seller has a return policy versus ones that just say you buy it and you're done. But even if they say that there's no return policy, the eBay Resolution Center does allow you to dispute it. And, you know, no seller wants to deal with that. So that's pretty much it. You know, this just kind of watch your purchases, especially the high-end vintage and older cases. You know, this is still a great hobby. I personally am not buying from PWCC anymore, and I've done quite a bit of business with PWCC and Probstein as both a buyer as well as seller. I oftentimes send cards to them to consign for me, but PWCC, that also includes PWCC's vault. I'm actually in the midst of getting my 51 Bowman Willie Mays rookie that's been in the vault since January back in my hands. So like I said, I just don't want to do any more business with PWCC. They have an image to, you know, to fix, if at all, if they're able to do that at all. But in the meantime, they just won't be getting my money. So if you like videos like this, please comment, subscribe to my channel. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.